The best games emerging in 2020. If you have a stack of leftover games from 2019, you better start finishing them off soon, because 2020 is bringing several enormous new releases, despite all eyes being on the holiday season when the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X launch. New entries and long-running franchises will launch, including some that we haven't seen in over a decade, and completely original games will also release from major studios. We suggest you start saving your money because your wallet is in for some pain. These are the most anticipated games of 2020. Ori and the Will of the Wisps. The sequel to one of the most acclaimed games for Xbox One, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, was announced what seems like an eternity ago, but we would much rather see that Moon Studios is given the time it needs to create a compelling Metroidvania game than to release something that it had to rush. Much like the first game, you play as the title character and explore areas using newfound abilities, returning later to unlock previously hidden sections. The game's gorgeous art style has been given more detail this time around, and the suitably wispy score is the perfect companion. When Microsoft announced Ori and the Will of the Wisps at E3 2017, no one imagined it would take until 2020 to release. Here we are though, and at least it's early 2020. I mean, regardless, the second Ori outing looks every bit as beautiful as the original. It's got that same soft watercolor look, lots of dark blues speckled with pink and green and red highlights. I'll be curious how the sequel ups the challenge for veterans without making it unapproachable for newcomers. The original struck a tight balance. Nioh 2. The first Nioh was a surprise in just how well it managed to take it from software formula and turn it into a stylish action game. In some respects, it even surpassed the Souls series with its creative bosses, but Nioh 2 will not have the luxury of lowered expectations. As you battle deadly yokai and enhance your abilities, you'll be able to turn into the ultimate Sengoku-era killing machine, and you can once again temporarily turn into a yokai yourself to deliver devastating blows. Animal Crossing: New Horizons. It isn't Mario, Zelda, or Pokemon, but there are very few Nintendo franchises that can get players rapidly excited as Animal Crossing. In its first game on Switch, Animal Crossing: New Horizons, the series shifts to a vacation setting with your character given free reign to customize an island as they see fit. It still contains all of the classic Animal Crossing elements, but even more variety in activities and more options for multiplayer. The game's famous characters like Tom Nook have never looked better, and we can't wait to fall deeply into debt after buying a house. Doom Eternal. Who would have thought that the Doom series would still be relevant in 2020? After 2016's excellent reboot, id Software had little else to prove in a sequel, but Doom Eternal isn't just more of the same. The Doom Slayer now has blades built into his suit for more efficient demon murdering, can fire himself from a special BFG cannon, and has a grappling hook to get around with lightning speed. As with Doom 2, much of the game takes place on Earth, and once you've completed the campaign, you can try out the asymmetrical multiplayer mode that pits one Doom Slayer against multiple demons in a fight to the death. Doom Eternal was supposed to unleash hell last November, but fell victim to a last-minute delay. Now it's ripping and tearing its way through 2020 instead. And with nearly 4 years separating the reboot and its sequel, we certainly haven't got tired of semi-mindless run and guns, especially ones that play this slick. Hopefully it's been delayed for the last time and we can all get to murdering demons in the near future. MLB The Show 20. One of the most exciting MLB The Show games that come out in years, MLB The Show 20 will include full minor league rosters for its teams. This means players will be able to see upcoming players and celebrities like Tim Tebow making their way through the farm system before coming to the majors. The game has also received a new take on its Road to the Show and March to October modes to allow for more choice and rewards, and the gameplay engine and AI have been completely overhauled as well. Half-Life: Alyx. Half-Life 3? Not quite, but Valve's VR exclusive Half-Life Alyx is the first new game in the series in over a decade. Set between the original and Half-Life 2, it's a full-fledged first-person VR action game with some of the most stunning visuals we've ever seen on a headset. That fidelity means you will need a beast of a machine to power it all, but getting the chance to unravel the latest chapter in Valve's mysterious shooter series is just too tempting to pass up. So start buying new components now, and your PC might be ready by launch. The catch? It's a VR exclusive, a showcase for Valve's Index headset and for Oculus, the Vive, or any other PC VR setup that you might own. That's undoubtedly frustrating for anyone who hasn't made that investment yet, but perhaps Half-Life Alyx can be as groundbreaking for VR as Half-Life 2 was for physics engines all those years ago. Guess we'll just have to wait and see. Empire of Sin. Brenda Romero's apparently waited decades to make Empire of Sin, a hybrid real-time strategy turn-based tactics game set in the Prohibition era. I'm glad it's finally getting made because it has some really neat ideas. Foremost among them is what Empire of Sin calls RPCs, or recruitable player characters. These are your gang members, and they're not just faceless grunts. They have personalities, relationships with other characters, dreams, and even desires. You might recruit a character only to find out her lover's in a rival gang, and then be able to exploit that, or have it come back to haunt you when she refuses to fire at her lover at a crucial moment. It's an interesting wrinkle to consider though. One can get curious how often these situations will present themselves outside of a demo. Again, we'll wait and see. Baldur's Gate 3. Will Baldur's Gate 3 release in 2020? Google announced it as part of the Stadia launch lineup though, and Stadia has, well, technically launched. Theoretically, that means Baldur's Gate 3 will also arrive in the near future. Theoretically. If it does make it out, it'll be fortuitous timing. Baldur's Gate 2 turns 20 next year, a nice round anniversary with celebrating with a long-awaited sequel. That said, let's be happy to give Larian as much time as it needs. Following up on one of the most beloved CRPGs of all time, well, that can't be easy. Wasteland 3. 5 years after Wasteland 2 took home our Game of the Year prize, the sequel's almost ready. What we've played so far seemed very cold, with the Desert Rangers trading out sweltering Arizona for the frozen wastes of post-apocalyptic Colorado. It's still very much Wasteland though, with satisfying turn-based combat and skill checks galore. And given In Exile's track record, we hope the writing will be solid, though the Microsoft acquisition gave In Exile time to not only add more content, but to polish what was already there. I don't want to wait for the inevitable director's cut this time to get the game as In Exile originally intended it. Dying Light 2. We haven't seen nor heard much from Dying Light 2 since E3 2019, and that's, well, it's worrisome. It's an ambitious game, and when ambitious games go radio silent, it's assumed they've been delayed. Dying Light 2 is doing branching storylines on a massive scale. The demo we saw at E3 2019 ended with an entire district emerging from underwater, a section of the city you'll only see if you make certain choices along the way. As Techland put it, it's not about which ending you get, but how the city looks when you finish the game, claiming you'd only see 50% of the content in any given playthrough. Pretty cool, but it sounds like a lot of work. Resident Evil 3. The Resident Evil 2 remake was one of our favorite games of 2019. Using the core story beats of the 1998 original, the updated Resident Evil 2 reimagined Claire and Leon's adventure with a proper over-the-shoulder camera, a more grounded tone, and an ingenious map. It's the first Resident Evil game that I've ever truly loved. For 2020, Capcom will try to work the same trick again and resurrect Resident Evil 3. We didn't expect it to be this soon, but nor are we complaining. Humankind. If you shoot it, then you better not miss. For years, Amplitude's taken potshots at Civilization's 4X hegemony with the unique and innovative Endless Legend and then Endless Space 2. But there's a real battle brewing in 2020 when Amplitude is due to release Humankind. It's a direct challenge to Civilization, a historical 4X that starts at the dawn of human civilization and takes it up through present day. Humankind is no Civilization clone though. Amplitude's upending the formula, rethinking a lot of the ideas Civilization is so loath to abandon. Victory, for instance, doesn't entail outlasting your opponents. Fame is the metric for success, and past glories can be as important to securing a legacy as present-day ones. Think of the Roman Empire, the Egyptians, or the Khans. Interesting ideas and brave. Exactly what you could expect from Amplitude. Psychonauts 2. Psychonauts 2 is due to be released in 2020 as well, and well, we may not be excited but intrigued for sure. It's been 15 years since the original came out and went, and at least 10 since it started being discussed as a cult classic. Mascot platformers were dated even in 2005 though, and in 2020? Well, it's tough being a ukulele or even a hat in time. We are confident in Double Fine's ability to surprise people, but we sometimes wonder if Psychonauts 2 will actually appeal to those who waited on a sequel for so long. Crusader Kings III. Crusader Kings III is another game to be released in 2020. After 8 years and a dozen expansions, Paradox is finally hitting the reset button and making a proper sequel to the beloved Crusader Kings II. The core is the same, taking over any medieval ruler and trying to expand their influence across multiple generations through warfare, marriage, strategic heir selection, and religion. But a clean slate allows Paradox to delve deeper into what made the game a breakout hit, expanding on courtly intrigue, dynastic traits, and random events, plus making the map a bit more attractive. If Paradox has learned anything in the last 8 years, it's UI design. Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite is the only game that we can safely say will ship alongside the new consoles. It's slated as an Xbox Series X launch title in November. While Halo Infinite will appear on the Xbox One, it's really Microsoft's poster child for next gen. And it sounds like an ambitious sequel, far more so than Halo 4 and 5. Developer 343 Industries is reputedly ditching the old formula, adding in RPG mechanics, and telling IGN it's a spiritual reboot of what's traditionally been a straightforward shooter series. Best of all, it's the first Halo to debut day and date on PC ever. Hopefully they picked a good one to do it with. Hope you are looking forward to these intriguing and exciting games. Feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. Also, don't forget to share these videos with your friends and family, and thank you for watching.